How y'all doing? I'm Gizzy here again, guys. Today, I'm doing a video response and contest entry into the Build Your Own Budget B.O.B. Bug Out Bag contest, sponsored by CampingSurvival.com and Adam Francis of EquippedToEndure.com. Boom. So, what we had to do is, of course, visit Equipped to Endure. Watch the video and then go over to CampingSurvival.com. Awesome site. And you've got $200 to spend in order to make a bug out bag. And the bug out bag is supposed to be something that you can give to anybody and they can go out and survive the first 24 hours. And also beyond that as far as possible. But the first 24 hours are critical. And that's kind of how I totally geared this. I geared this towards anybody should be able to use this in order to survive. Oops, sorry. I'm working without a tripod. Alright, so let's take a look what I got here. Boom. Look at that. You had to have a minimum of 10 items. I have exactly 10 items. You had to stay within the $200 range. Not sure if you can make that out. $199.31. Alright, so let's go over what I got and why I got it. Alright, so the first thing I was thinking of is where I live. I live in Pennsylvania. I live in South Central Pennsylvania. It gets cold in the winter, no doubt. A couple days back, it was in single digits a week or two ago. It's not Alaska, but it gets cold, and especially this season, and I kind of geared it around this season. Kind of a winter bag, but this would do you in, or not winter bag, but yeah, winter bag. Winter bug out bag, bug out system. This is going to be more than a bug out bag. But anyway, so shelter. First shelter. I was looking over all the shelters. They had some tents. They have all kinds of different stuff there. But I had to think about money and staying within my range, as well as getting the best thing that I could possibly get, in my opinion. So after looking through what they had there, and also keeping in mind that this system should be able to go to anybody. So anyone should be able to just pick it up, go and survive for 24 hours out in the wilderness. So someone like my wife, okay? And survival is key, all right? This is geared around surviving. So take a look at the first thing I picked. This is my shelter. This is the Rothko Olive Drab hammock. This is a hammock. As you can see, it's a hammock with a roof. It has a heavy cotton base. It's a canvas cotton base, and it has a, what's it called? Sorry, a coated roof. Okay, all of the ropes and the clues are already in it. It's ready to go. So it's got everything you need there. It also has mesh netting on the sides, so it works for summer as well as winter. Some people might think, well, it's not that great for winter with that mesh, and don't worry, I have a solution to that. Okay, so we got a hammock. So that's our shelter. That's our sleeping. It's protection up off the ground. You're out of the wet. You're dry and you're high and you're away from creepy crawlies. You're also, depending on how high you want to put it, away from different predatorial type animals. Alright, let's go back to the cart. What else do I have? So another thing I decided to get, since that's my shelter, is I've picked the Rothko Gray 70% virgin wool blanket. I chose this because it's wool. I don't know how much y'all know about wool, but wool is able to keep its insulation properties whether it's wet or dry. So whether it's completely dry or completely wet, you are going to be insulated just as well with wool. You're out in the wilderness, that's important, you know. I wouldn't pick a fleece blanket. Fleece blankets, once they're wet, you're not going to keep nearly as warm as you would beforehand. This is only 70% virgin wool, but I don't think I could find a 100% virgin wool blanket for $18.99. I believe this blanket is, I think it's, what did I see, 6 foot 3 inches in length and about 5 inches or 5 feet wide. So it's plenty big for me. I come in at 6 foot, so I got some overhang there. As far as that, I can also wrap myself in it to keep warm inside my hammock shelter. Another advantage of a wool over, let's say, a fleece blanket is the fact that it's more fire retardant. It's not fire retardant per se, but it's much more fire retardant than a fleece. Those synthetic fibers and fleeces, they have a tendency to catch on fire quite quickly, whereas wool blankets are safer near a fire. They're not fireproof, of course, but they, in my experience, have been more resistant to fire than like a fleece blanket, which they also sell here. Another reason this is basically to keep me warm. It can also be used as, not the entire thing, of course, but a part of it. It's cloth. You can use it to filter water you might get out of a stream. Pre-filter it. It's not going to completely filter it, but you can use it. Maybe you can cut off a section and use that. So you're basically just going to pre-filter your water with a piece of cloth from the wool blanket. Now, if you are smart and do your water filtering in the daytime, early in the morning, you should be able to dry this out before you need to go to sleep. So you wouldn't necessarily have to cut a hole in it, is what I'm saying. You could just use it to filter your water and then dry it out. But that's up to each individual person to make that decision. Another thing this is going to be used for is my backpack or my rucksack. This is going to basically be a hobo bag. This is going to wrap around everything else I have. I chose not to get a backpack, mainly because of the cost prohibitiveness. It's by getting a backpack, I am limiting myself the other things that I wish to get. This is capable of carrying quite a lot of gear with the size of it, 62 inches by 80 inches. You can get a lot inside of that and wrap it up. And you can either put it on the end of a stick and carry it around like a hobo, or you could make, I believe, what is called a miner's pack, which they used to use a tarp. They put all their things inside a tarp, wrap the tarp up, and using cordage create straps, which we'll get to because I have cordage as well in my kit. Let's take a look here. The next thing is polyester paracord, olive drab. I chose olive drab mainly because I think it was on sale, so it was the cheapest one, and I'm getting 50 foot. So using this, I can put all the other items that I purchased, as well as the leftover of this, inside of the wool blanket, fold it over, wrap the wool blanket in the paracord, and make myself some straps, either a kind of a chest strap or shoulder straps, and be able to carry all my gear. Also, we are going to be able to use this if something happens to the hammock. Maybe we need more length in cord because maybe I'm not able to find a suitable tree, but where I live is a heavily wooded area, so we'll have a place definitely to string up our hammock. But you can use it for different things. Maybe you want to have some guy lines. I'm not sure if that hammock comes with guy lines and whatnot. You'll be able to use your 50 foot of paracord for that, as well as many other things, making traps, tying your food stocks up. If you're able to, if you have food, you want to keep it up off the ground, away from animals once again, you'll be able to use it for that. Of course, you could probably put your food in your hammock with you. but that could also cause the animal to try to attack you. So I would actually suggest putting your food stocks elsewhere, away from where you're sleeping. Close, of course, but away from where you're sleeping and up high where it can't be attacked by predators. And this is all things we can use our paracord for. You can also use it as a fire starter. If you take out the inner layers of the paracord, you have other cordage. You can make fishing line out of, things like that. Endless uses for paracord. We all know what they are. But the next thing I decided to go with is a Trailblazer Bow Saw. I don't have a picture right here for some reason. Let me see if I can get the picture. Right here, Trailblazer knives. Boom, basically right here. This one, the Trailblazer Bow Saws. They look like this. For some reason, the picture's not showing up when you click on it. I've opted for the 21-inch bow saw rather than the 30-inch. I don't really need a 30-inch. It's going to be harder to pack, and I don't see myself cutting down 30-inch trees. I have a chainsaw with a 20-inch bar, actually an 18-inch bar on it, so I really don't need a 30-inch bow saw. I went with the Trailblazer 21-inch bow saw because it is easy, and I am creating this for basically my wife, all right, someone who doesn't know that much about being out in the wilderness. She knows how to use a saw. Everybody knows how to use a saw. A child knows how to use a saw. You can give them a saw, they'll figure out how to cut wood with it. I could give them a collapsible saw. They might have difficulty putting it together. There are a lot of different linkages that could break here. I realize the Trailblazer is a very sturdy, very sturdy piece of gear. But it's also $31, and this is $12. I could go with one of these. I have numerous folding saws, but the problem with that, once again, cost prohibition. It's cost prohibited, and you're not getting nearly the ability to process wood. With this, I can go across a 21-inch log. Well, with this handle, maybe not quite 21 inches, but at least 13 inches, or sorry, not 13, at least a good 18 inches, I can cut through a log with this Trailblazer bow saw, which gives me a lot more ability, a lot more options when it comes to processing wood. That's wood. Different types of wood. If I were to just go with one of these little 7 to 9 inch saws, the size of tree or the size of log I would be able to go through would be very severely limited. Also, these take a lot more energy than this. These bow saws are much easier to use than a handsaw. You don't expend near the amount of calories. They're longer, you can go slower, you can conserve your calories, and that's important for longevity. Right? We're definitely going to get through the first 24 hours, but I also, a main part of this kit is to go as long as possible, and I think I've got a kit set up here that can get us out to at least 20 days minimum. So calories are very important. So I want to be able to process wood as easily as possible. So I also went with the Colligan's Camp Axe. This is very high value axe. It's $7.80. It is all steel. It's a forged steel axe head and a steel shaft with a non-slip grip. It's not going to break. I've had, not this particular axe, but axes just like this, and you can just beat and beat and beat and beat with them, and they're all steel. It's like a freaking all steel hammer. It's very difficult to break these. You'd really have to be trying to break these. I've never seen one break. So I want to have an axe. I want to be able to split that wood as easily as possible. All right. A lot of people go with knives. The knives were cost prohibitive. To get a knife that I wanted would have cost too much. So the axe I can use an axe for everything I use a knife for, as long as it's good and sharp. And yeah, a $7 knife probably doesn't come out of the box real sharp, but it definitely will take an edge. You can get it sharp, which I would before I put it in the bag. It also comes with a cover, so it keeps things safe inside my wool blanket rucksack. All right. We can also use this for cracking open. It's got basically a hatchet, you know, it's got like a hammer part on the back. You can use it for breaking open nuts if you're able to find some walnuts, things like that. In this season, to get into the goodness of them, you can use this as a weapon for defense against whatever animal or other thing might be coming at you. You can use it to drive stakes into the ground. You can use it for setting up your traps. Plethora of things you can do. It's going to be your main go-to tool. Cut your food, prepare your food, open things. You can catch a paracord with it. Once again, like I said, once you get it sharp. But it's also important to think back to the point that this is a kit for anybody. I know how to baton wood with a knife. Many of you watching know how to baton wood with a knife. So we know how to split wood with a knife. Not everybody is familiar with that. My wife is familiar with it because she's seen it, but how about like my wife's sister? Or even my own sister? She had no idea. She probably wouldn't even think of trying to split a piece of wood with a knife. However, everybody knows you can split wood with an axe or a hatchet. So it's going to be common sense for them that I can use this in order to split wood up. Next, since we're talking about wood keeping warm, I'm going to skip the next one and we'll go down to the bottom here. And that's the Rothko 18-inch steel machete with sheath. Okay. I chose this mainly because of the price. $4.40. What? Now, that's a $4.40 machete. It's 18 inches of steel, sharpened and pointed. But it's still a $4.40 machete. So I can't imagine the quality is super awesome great. Well, some people might be thinking to themselves, why are you getting a machete and a hatchet? Can a machete do what a hatchet can? Yeah, and many times, but I don't think a $4 machete can do what the $7 axe can. It's awful long for what I'm going to use it for, but basically this will be for our more fine cutting, since it's probably a little sensitive. I will do batoning of wood with a machete, personally. Even this machete, even knowing that it's not going to be super high quality, I can split wood with a butter knife. So I know I can use this machete to do it. And even if it does break, you have 18 inches of machete. So if it snaps in the middle, who cares? You've still got plenty of length to go. And you can pick up the other piece and have yourself a knife, make yourself another knife with a couple pieces of wood and some of your paracord, make a handle out of it. But yeah, this is mainly for our fine cutting. Once you split the wood with the axe, then I can use this to make feather sticks. I can use this to scrape off, cut some kindling out of the split wood that I've made. So that's mainly what this is for. Also, once again, defense. And if somehow you're able to capture an animal, you can use it to process that animal. But we really shouldn't have to worry about that, because I set this up for someone to survive 24 hours and as long as possible, given that they have absolutely no skill. Okay? So, next thing we have is the Rothko GI aluminum style canteen cup. $4.99 aluminum canteen cup. It holds 1 quart, so we can use this to boil our water. After we filter the water with our wool blanket, and we're getting out all the big sediment and stuff, and we're just kind of getting water into the cup, we boil it, and we've just purified it, okay? I don't have any other filters. But once you boil water, it's safe to drink. It might not taste good, it might be dirty, you know, but you can drink water that's been boiled for the most part, especially if you get it out of a running stream. Now, it won't take out heavy metals and things like that. I realize that, but where I am, we have a lot of natural ground springs, and it's very easy to find one. And most of our streams are fed by underground springs. So the water around here has been tested, and it's safe. So I'm going by the fact that the water in my area, if you stay away from big bodies of water, rivers and whatnot, if you stay in the small streams and whatnot, I live in an agricultural area, very rural. I'm not near any large cities. It's not an urban area. The water that we have is fresh, and honestly, you can drink it right out of the stream. We always did when I was a kid, and we never had a problem. But I always do suggest nowadays that you boil the water. And I know for a fact that the water around here is safe, because when I was in high school, and still to this day, we had a water management class. It was part of biology or something, and we actually went out and we'd test the water in the streams to see what kind of impurities were in it, and it was all fresh, and you could drink it all right out of the creek. But regardless, this is my main cooking utensil, boiling water utensil, and eating from utensil. Next, for fire, I got the Culligan's Fire Lighters Fire Starter. Now, these things are pretty awesome. It's basically a, let's see if it actually tells us what it's made out of. It doesn't actually tell us. It's basically a giant match, for lack of a better word, made out of either sawdust that's been soaked in lighter fluid of some sort and pressed together. I don't know if it's lighter fluid, it's wax, some kind of oil, but whatever it is, it's very flammable. I use these things to start my wood stove. Not these particular things, but something very similar to it. It has a match head on the end, and the fire starter will burn for 7 minutes. You can also use it as kindling. This box comes with 20 sticks, which is one reason I say maybe we'll get 20 days out of it. We can make 20 fires and hopefully keep ourselves warm through 20 nights and get some water boiled for 20 days and 20 nights, as long as we're maintaining our fire. But this burns for 7 minutes, so it'll get your fire started. I start fires all the time, like I said, at my house, my wood stove, with wood I brought in out of the snow and whatnot. As long as you split it up and get the dryness out, you light it up. You can also, you don't have to use the whole thing. As far as there only being 20, you can cut these things in half, and now you have 40 fires. They're not quite as effective. They won't quite burn quite as long or as hot. They'll burn as long, I believe, but not quite as hot. But you can definitely, as long as you plan your wood, get it all nice and small and get lots of kindling in there, you don't need a full stick of these. So you can cut every single one of these in half and have yourself 40 fires instead of just 20. Also, of course, you want fire for keeping warm, for sterilizing food, for singling, for help, to keep away wild animals. All these things are why fire are important. Combustion. All right. We're almost done. One more. Not one more, two more. Here I have the Rothco Polar Shield 2-person survival blanket. You might be saying, well, what do you got that for? You got the wool blanket, you got your hammock. Well, I want to use this with the hammock and the wool blanket. Because it's a survival blanket, it's going to reflect 90% of your body heat back to you. This is quite large. It's 96 inches by 60 inches. It says it's large enough for 2. It's also large enough to wrap the inside of your hammock with. Because that hammock has mesh sides, I'd like to line the inside of it with this. So I'm going to put this underneath the roof, down the sides, and also underneath me. I'm going to sleep on top of that, wrapped in my wool blanket, and that should keep me warm even down to lower degrees. If not, I personally know, you can get plenty of foliage, dead leaves and whatnot, and stuff it inside that hammock to keep you warm, to insulate you even more. I don't know if that's something a common person would know to do or not. They may not. But with this and knowing what it is, if they just were able to line the inside of the hammock, you're going to keep the wind off you. It's reflective of heat. It also keeps wind away. And I'm also going to use this to wrap the pack. Because of the wool blanket being on the outside, I don't want my wool blanket exposed when I'm using it as a backpack. So I'm also going to wrap this around the wool blanket. Fold it up several times, get it nice and thick, and the reason for that is to keep it from getting wet, because this stuff is waterproof. It's basically Mylar. It's waterproof. It will not snag on branches and collect leaves and other dirt like your wool blanket will, and if it does, you just shake it out. So that's what it's going to be used for. It's basically a rain cover for my wool backpack, as well as an insulating device for my hammock. And once again, you can also use this for a singling device. This is not a natural thing. It reflects light. You can just put that out real big, wave it around if you think you need help. But my main thing isn't to get rescued at this point. It's to survive, because we don't know what we're surviving. Maybe we're hiding from someone and surviving that way. It's possible in a survival situation you do not want to be found. So in which case I wouldn't put this on outside. The wool blanket, I'd keep it inside. But you can also use it for a way to get attention to yourself. And finally, boom, an entire case of Mayday emergency food rations, the 1,200 calories. Why? Well, because with this I can last a good 20 days at least. Let me calculate. 1,200 calories these are. So I have 1,200 calories per serving. Or per bar per serving. There are 36 bars in this case. 36 times 1,200. That gives me a grand total of 43,200 calories in this case. Now, a 6-foot man of 200 pounds needs 1,500 calories just to live per day without changing your weight. 1,500 calories. Now, if you're going to be working and stuff, you're going to want more. So what I did, I basically took that medium 1,500 calories I need just to live and not do anything else, and I added 500 calories to it, because you're going to need to be doing some work. But I want it to be minimal work. Your main work you're going to be doing is the processing of wood to keep warm and filtering water. But given only this and no other food source whatsoever, not grounding around looking for food, eating insects, things like that, not hunting, not trapping, only relying on this one case, which I believe weighs 10 pounds, which is quite manageable. You can carry that on your back, no problem. So what did I say? 43,200 calories. What I did is divided it by 2,000 calories. So I'm giving myself an extra 500 calories. And let's say for someone smaller than me, I'm a big dude. Someone smaller than me doesn't need that many calories. What did I say? Oh my goodness, I lost track here. I'm sorry, guys. Let me do a recalc real quick. 1,200 calories times 36. All right, 43,200. Divide that by 2,000, and that'll tell me, and that's per day. That gives me 21 days, 21.6 days, 21 and a half days I can survive if I eat extra calories. I don't necessarily need that 1,200 calories or 22,000 calories every single day. Maybe I'll just eat 1,200 one day because I'm feeling lazy and I don't really want to do nothing. And maybe it's a day that it's not that cold, something like that. You know, if it's in the summertime, you could probably last indefinitely on that. Not indefinitely, but you won't have to expend so much energy keeping warm. But I base it on a 2,000 calorie a day, 21 days. We got 20 fire starters. We got 21 days of food that we don't have to work for. It's there. It's ready to go. I don't have to make a fire. This is why I got this, because this pack is for beginners. This is for anybody to survive. And there's no preparation needed with these energy bars. It's a heavily high-calorie packed bar. It might not taste that good, but you're going to live. And it's $92. That's the bulk of what I spent right there. That's half the money that I spent. Because with this, I don't have to worry about going out and trapping and fishing and trying to hunt. I don't have to worry about making a fire if I don't feel I need to make a fire. If I just want to wrap myself up inside my hammock and lay there and stay warm and eat this, I can do that. Because I don't have to prep this food. This is already made. You open it up, you eat it. It's that simple. I can also use it because it's in bags. I can use these bags to collect water. I can use the large bag that they all come in to collect water. You know, all the plastic this stuff's wrapped in, I'm going to use for different reasons. It's also good because it doesn't have that much of a scent because of it being wrapped in Mylar. It's made to last and last for years and years, this stuff. So I think they have 5-year shelf lives. If it's going to release odor, then it's not going to stay edible that long. So being wrapped the way it is, as long as you eat what you open, you shouldn't attract that many animals. All right, so that's it. That's my pack. That's everything. Grand total of $199.31, and I have a 24-hour kit that'll last you 21 days. And anybody can live on it. Anybody can survive with this. Anybody. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry it was so long. Make sure you go check out Equipped to Endorse channel. Make sure you go check out Camping Survival. All right, guys. I'm Mikey Z signing out. Peace.